So today we're going to be looking at FaZe versus NIP on the Blast Premier semifinals, I think, for fall. Um, we're going to focus on FaZe's CT side, and anything neat that I see NIP do, I'll show it after this half, but we're just going to be focusing on this single half for the most part. So to start with, Kerrigan buys Dooley's Smoke and Flash. He drops his Flash to Rops, and they're going to play 2B, 3A. Kerrigan is going to get flashed into Monster here by Rops early. Rops likes throwing this Flash, just banks off the back end and perfectly blinds the whole of Monster. Now that there's nothing, Kerrigan's going to jiggle with his Smoke out. If there was, say, a late B hit, he would just smoke the close side of a Monster here, whether it was like a contact or a pop, I think, and then he just catch them gray screened, swinging out. Meanwhile, though, what's really cool is how they're setting up towards A. So we have Twist, who goes into this cubby on the left here, while Brokey is going to walk into Con. He's going to listen, and now that presence has been spotted over towards A by Rain, they're going to fall back into a setup where Rain watches this fountain area, Brokey's watching around like party or fountain and so on. He's going to juggle a few angles. And they're all able to kind of swing and help each other if there's any early grouping. Going into the second round, it's going to be a force-up. Kerrigan's just going to go spot mid with his scout. It's nothing really special. He sees this late peek here, knows that there is likely to be 2A, because he got info of 1, he was there late, so there could be a guy playground. Now he's just going to keep on playing like the info game here. Over at B, they're going to set up with Rain Heaven, Twists around side pit, Brokey over towards barrels, and Rops is just going to be spamming with his Deagle. Now one thing I want to mention, so this angle that Rain is playing, he will catch anyone who is jumping up onto this rail. Unless they are really tight with their jumps and they crouch directly onto the rail at the right spot, if it's around here, when they jump up, their head will be visible and he has a chance at getting a shot on them. And then I want to look at Twists here. He has a really neat nade. Just line up. The skybox demos aren't the most accurate for some things, right? So I'll be showing any util in-game later. But this nade is going to land deep at the steps. Great for any lurkers and so on. So now Kerrigan is spotting mid still and just going for info. He's going to end up over peeking a bit and he gets caught off by Broline. So in response, FaZe is going to all rotate over towards A. Rops is going to throw a smoke for Monster to fake some presence over at B still. And they're going to Twists is going to drop his smoke to Brokey, because Twists being the first one here, he wants to just get up into the close corner. He's going to play anti. Now they have two FAMASs playing truck, really strong position. They can smoke out any Molotovs, and attention would be on the guy who is back truck who smoked the Molotov, right? And then you also have, for insurance, you have Rops, who's on the back side of them, who can help. Meanwhile, Rain is playing over towards Dice to get info and just have more ground there. But anywhere that gets fought, so if Rops takes contact on the front side here, then he has Brokey who can peek, and if anyone gets close, Twists also helps. And Rain can also take a peek on them. And if Rain takes any fights long, with players who are swinging long, he backs up over to Dice here, and then you have Twists who turns, takes contact with them, and now it's just great crossfire setup. One last small thing to note is that Rops sees from his position the smoke coming in and goes to block it, and that would also, if they were to Molotov truck, I believe that would block off any Molotovs, so then they wouldn't even need to use the smoke. But you'll notice too that in response, Brokey does throw a mid-side smoke to allow them greater room to maneuver around. So Rain could like full fall if he wanted to and play in the smoke and make things weird. Now for round 3, I just want to show their setup towards, so Kerrigan's gonna just fake some presence towards B here. Meanwhile, you have the FAMAS is going into connector with Twist supporting him with his deagle, and you have this interesting setup with the other 2 deags here on A. So you have Brokey playing this playground angle. He's just ready to help. He'll take contact on anyone who's playground, and he's also able to help anyone who Rain fights. Rain is in a position I believe is called Magisk, because I think he's the first player who started using this off angle, but it's a really strong one, especially because NIP so far, well, it's a save round, right? So they're going to be taking it slow in most cases, so this is a pretty safe angle to take. You're unlikely to get flashed off of it and die early on. But what I want to highlight is the way that, because they have this setup here, Rops and Twists, they don't need to play deep in con. They're just playing around this stairs area where they can go and take fights on anyone who adventures up con. Any Molotovs that are used over towards this area are null. They won't really get anything done. So going into the first full gun round, or almost full, Rain is going to start off towards A solo. Take note of how he lines up this Molotov. A lot of people do throw it on the run, but FaZe, I suppose, likes to throw this lineup specifically. It lands pretty deep, really consistent, and you don't really lose out on time so much, so unlike the original lineup. But so Rain is going to throw that Molotov. He's going to smoke over towards Fountain Steps, and just he'll spam through the smoke. I don't actually, maybe I haven't watched enough demos of A riflers, but I don't see this very often, but it's pretty safe considering he has an A1S. I actually like the idea. Just a small minor detail. But anyways, so now over at B, they're going to be going into a 4B setup, and I believe the way they're going to prepare is set to counter like a B pop or a B rush. You're gonna have Rops in the back. He's gonna smoke their deep monster. Kerrigan's going to throw the pickle util Molotov, and then he's gonna blow up Condor. And when he blows up Condor, especially with one player over at A, it threatens there being a player con or there being spam coming from B over here, so it's a lot harder for anyone to come up fast con and mess with Rain here. So Rain can pretty safely just go for his slightly aggro stuff and whatnot, kind of force the T's to play slower if they're defaulting. But so you have, let's see, you have Twist who comes over here, he Molotovs the close, and then he's going to line up for the same stairs nade. And this is also going to be really good against a beat pop, because when you have people setting up, they're going to be roughly around this area. They might even be like here for their flashes, or they're walking into position right now and getting the flash set up like this. I know that Gambit likes, or C9, sorry, Shira likes to throw his pop flash over Monster from right here. Later on you'll see NIP throw their pop flash from right here over Woodball, that kind of stuff. But so they throw that util, and then you have Kerrigan, who's going to be over at site, over at pillar, coming up to Woodwall. He's playing close You have Brokey taking contact on this area. He's going to be safe from any over monster flashes because most of them are going to pop around here, right out of his field of view. And so after Twists throws his nade, he's going to come back over to Barrel, and you see like they're pretty hard focused on Monster. Then he decides, okay, I'm just going to watch the boost. Rops jump spots, doesn't see anything. Molotov's into con, and he's going to rotate up. Now that it's been about 30 seconds, so a B pop is really unlikely at this point. Add to that, I believe that there's been... well, Rain hasn't really made contact with any of the guys A, but I believe that there's been enough presence over at A that they're concerned about that now. Because usually when there's a B pop, most of the presence that you'll get over towards A is going to be a flash mid. Maybe there'll be a smoke bathrooms. Maybe there'll be a nade. Maybe there'll be 2 flashes mid. But then they'll come back and they'll just straight up go for the B hit. And sometimes there's presence con as well instead, but now you have Twists juggling angles for Kerrigan. So Kerrigan it's late in the round and they don't have much info. As you'll see, NIP has actually held on to a lot of their utility. The main util that they've used has been towards A at the start and then long, where they flash long bathroom and so on. And so Kerrigan, he's probably got the smoke timed roughly in his head, and he's going to just wait it out, and then about like 15 or so seconds later, he's going to throw this flash off the wall and go for the peak. That's about when the smoke is fading, so the timing of that is key to note, as people like to FaZe smokes now, right? You know, just like sit in them and pop through or walk through, so that's great timing on his part. And I believe most of the time his flash is like right above the right half of this guy. I don't know, but depending on where you throw it, like if you throw it like off the middle there, it'll have like a funky landing. Anyways, so round 5, it's going to be a kind of very light buy from NIP. They're just gonna force 1 AK. So on B, I want to highlight how Twists boosts Rots here. So he's going to get on the middle left part of the sandbags here to boost, and I see some people who will budge up against the wall here, but I think this is a bit better as it's a little bit easier to get into because this sandbag is angled away. You have more space to actually get onto it. Twists does mess it up a little bit, but the second thing with it is that Rops has a lot more room to A and D on the top here, whereas if you were against the wall, it would be kind of weird. It would be a lot easier to slip off of the head, honestly. But yeah. Then the other thing I wanted to mention too with what they're doing is this, on this round, they start pre-smoking the short Molotov because they want to condition their opponents to worry about that short push and make them use more resources to take water. Because if they were just never throwing anything there, like the other thing actually with smoking this short thing here, smoking the short molly, is that it encourages the idea that there are going to be people in water. Because it's a lot more likely, like let's say you Molotov pickle and you throw like a nade there or something like that. They know that you're jump spotting and whatnot, but they don't necessarily know that you might be in there, or like you would have to be walk taking or something along those lines after the Molotov. But if you smoke it early, it's like, okay, they could just straight up be in water. And so that can change how you approach taking it or retaking it. But I'm going to switch my focus over to Kerrigan here. So he's going to Molotov Monster, and this is very simple, but he Molotovs Monster and then he's going to throw a nade into it. And with the lower money on the other team, he comes out to hold this angle. Now I'm not sure if he was going to swing and take the fight, because there is the chance that NIP would force Galils and things could be not so great for FaZe in that case. but if they had a read that it was pistols, then I don't think that swinging this dry is so bad, because could be Glocks. It's you have the range advantage, etc. But when he gets flashed, he just leans hard into it because there's no real way that you're going to be able to run away. He just starts spraying, crouches in, and just sprays all of Monster. So round 6, Brokey and Rain have a neat little setup of sorts. So Rain's going to Molotov his playground, and then he's going to hold a flash for him, and Brokey's going to go for the peek. Now, with this Molotov down, at max, one is able to cross, I think, based on spawns, but I'm not entirely sure. So when Brokey is taking this peek and he holds it for a bit, he knows that at most there could be one out to the right, and they would have to, if they wanted to go through playground, they would have to smoke it, which Rez did. Otherwise they take 50 damage. So, and then when Rain has this flash out, when Brokey goes for this peek, Rain can throw a flash to allow Brokey to re-peek if he gets flashed off. He can also, if they are trying to do fast mid, Rain can just flash him out, and they know at max, unless they are more familiar with the spawns than I am here, that there can only be one playground. In the same round, looking over towards B, you have Rops taking water control. He's going to throw the fast pickle Molotov. And one small thing that I want to highlight here is a lot of teams are running the running jump throw Molotov for short, and I believe that lands faster in short, right? So you would have more of a chance to throw a smoke on it and extinguish it. You'd see it coming earlier, you would be able to smoke it, all that stuff. But because NIP is throwing the standard jump throw one, the Molotov lands a little bit later. Hampus was in the back and he threw it, and Rops is going to end up tanking 40 damage because he didn't have the pre-smoke out. Twists is going to smoke it late when he comes over. He also blows up Condor, and so that Rain can help support from Con, and they're going to take water. Now what I want to highlight here is Hampus smokes the pickle Molotov a bit delayed. Now when this smoke comes in, a lot of the time there's going to be a flashbang because they're going to be retaking water. Though in this case NIP is going to be doing a delay retake. But this angle here is incredibly hard to fight. You don't really want to, I think it favors the T's more. I think you're gonna go 1-for-1 if you have a teammate to trade most of the time. But what Rops does is he goes into the smoke, he kind of runs into it for a sec, and then he's going to come out the backside and look behind him to make sure that no one lurked through. Because most of the time when the T's are coming through, they're gonna lurk through it on the left side, right? Or they're gonna swing through the left. But I thought that detail was pretty neat there. Moving forward to round 7, with the smoke on short being done repeatedly, FaZe is going to run a 4A stack. And so to start with, Twist is going to smoke the deep monster for Kerrigan, then he'll go long. Kerrigan is also going to have Rops throw a smoke over the hedge for him. Now he's going to Molotov pickle, and he's going to smoke the Molotov short when he sees it come in. And now he has a smoke. He's going to go jiggle monster and re-smoke monster when needed. So he's just going to be solo B here and faking all this, that there's multiple people B. And so in the meantime, you have FaZe here. Brokey is going to throw the steps Molotov, and then he's going to assume a position to hold playground from party, and Rain sits in the Magisk spot. I don't really know what I'd call this setup specifically because they've done it twice, but then they have Rops, who's going to be in connector, covering their connector for them, and Twist is going to play anti-flash close and long. Now this setup is pretty great for if anyone peeks playground, no flash. Brokey takes a shot. He just scopes in, fires. If anyone comes from the left, Rain has first contact on them, and if they swing, Brokey's able to respond too. Twists, if anyone comes long, Twist is able to just swing out on them, regardless of flash or not. Brokey can get blinded off, and the T's will see him. Brokey will probably take a shot while he's blind and fall off, and Twists just shoots people in the side. Now, one thing I also want to put very minor is just that Brokey is remaining unscoped here so that he can react to any angle. And also, this gives him info of if anyone tries to jump spot from the slide, which happens later in this game, he will see them because he's unscoped. They can just climb up this thing and then jump. But going into round 8, it's a bit of a save here from FaZe. They're going to start with a stack on B. They're going to get Rops and Twists ready with the... Rops and Rain ready with the MP9 jump peek on water. And set up towards pillar here. Just spam a bit, show some presence. So now they've established B control. Doesn't seem like anything's coming. I believe they did go for a jump spot here. They saw nothing water, and they're going to rotate over. Brokey's going to run ahead with his op and see if he can get into position for anything, while the others stay silent so that they don't give away too much info if there's anyone in position to do so. Now that they see that there's nothing close or whatever, or they got far enough, they start running here, and they're going to set up with 2 towards Sands, and they're gonna get Brokey walked up to hold bathroom. And so he holds this angle for them while they lock down Sands. And sorry, just to backtrack 1 second, Twists, when he comes over, he pre-aims this long boost just in case. They don't have info and they've already cleared out the other stuff. It's good to just have the discipline to check it out. But now Twists is going to walk up and he's going to play this dice angle, which is a really strong off angle if you have everything else locked down. So it gives you room to fight from both angles here while also being in a crossfire with your teammates, and you don't really get mollied out here, especially because if they go for any Molotovs here, if they start pushing Sands, you have 2 players close who can interrupt them. So we're into late round for number 9 here, and it's just Rops and Brokey on A site waiting for a hit. Now that the time is really low, a hit is going to be coming soon, and it's probably going to be A now because you have Kerrigan, who is close monster, and he's been jiggling a smoke and nothing's coming through yet. So Rops is going to smoke mid site, and mid site is a very good piece of utility to use, especially in this case when they're playing more defensive, because it means that the T's cannot take all of this ground on an execute, right? Because you have players who can stay in the site and fight from this area. They need to use more resources to actually take this whole thing. However, in this case, NIP does a great job of shutting them down with some really good flash timings, because they use their initial flashes to come in, and then afterwards Rez is going to throw a deep flash and Alexi B is going to throw a flash off the bank to land back dice, and this deep flash in particular stops Rops from coming in through the smoke and trying to catch anyone off guard, so Brokey just gets flanked and spammed through the smoke. Going into round 11 here, I want to show a few things, starting with Twists' util here to support this A setup. First of all, he's going to throw this Molotov, which is supposed to land deep in the pickle here, so it would land behind any pre-smoke and not get extinguished, and so on. But he's just going to, after throwing that Molotov, he blew up Con for his teammates over at A with this nade. Now, going back over to A, we're going to see that Brokey and Rain are going to be throwing the double Molotovs for A, and then Brokey and Rops are going to set up towards connector here. Rain is going to throw this little dunk nade, and he sees that nothing has been thrown by the Ts, and with both Molotovs down, it's very unlikely that a T would have tanked it and sat outside over here, especially as in these past rounds, NIP has been fairly slow in regards to their A control. So Rain is going to take this opportunity, and he's just going to cross over to playground and play this neat off angle, which I haven't really seen be used much. Now, just to show what's going on over at Con, Brokey starts out, he scopes at the top of Con so that no Ts are going to hear him from back of Con, and then he's going to post up on water. Off of a flash from Twists, though, he hears that Hampus shoots his AK, and so now he knows where Hampus is. He's going to post up on Crims, and eventually he's going to get this frag. And just the other thing to note, because Rain is holding playground only, Rops is going to, at some point, he's going to look towards mid, and he's going to pick up Fountain, eventually playing the Magisk angle. So skipping over to round 13 here, we're going to see FaZe go into a double Con setup, and there's a couple things I want to note about this. So first things first, Twist is going to throw the Pickle Molotov, and then he's going to boost Rops up to hold Con, or water, and then Con. After seeing that there's nothing early, Rops is going to blow open the door, and he's going to juggle both of the angles. Now, they have two in Con, but when you have Rops in this position, if Rops gets pushed off or needs to fall in any way, a lot of the time, if there's anyone Con, they're going to throw a smoke so that they don't get spotted by a boost or anything like that, right? So even if Rops isn't there to spot it, or if someone isn't there to spam it, Rain is going to have early information that someone is going to be trying to becoming Con. So he has an informational advantage in that scenario and can position himself accordingly. And this also means that if Brokey takes a shot, he's not going to be falling back into any Ts who are just going to be waiting for him, because if Rain is playing this angle and then Brokey just needs to dip out, if there's a T who's able to walk up here and then just hold for a second because he hears that shot, then it would be hard for Rain to really support Brokey. But regardless, we're going to go forward in this round here, and Brokey makes contact on the mid players and misses his shot, needs to fall back. But when there's an op in Con, this almost always signifies that there's going to be two players in Con, at least. And so what NIP is going to do is they're going to try to throw some util to flush them out, but they miss their Molotov, so they just smoke it off and try to run A. Now, to rewind a second, with Rops' rotate up to A here, he's going to get into this divider position, which is this front bathroom-ish position here, the slant wall. And this is actually a fantastic spot for him to get into, because when you see that there's two people in Con, the spots that you expect if there's going to be a third A player, he's either going to be watching long in some way, so maybe lockers, maybe he'll be on site jump spotting, something like that. Or they're just going to be gambling and they'll have 3B and leave long open. Some teams will end up doing that sometimes. So when Rops gets into this position, he's not only watching the potential long, if there's anything thrown from there, but he's also in position to respond to anyone who tries to go up A in a really strong spot. That's hard for him to get traded unless they had multiple go sands. And then this funny thing happens here. In the final round of this half, we have FaZe who are going to be going for a triple boost at Graffiti, and Rops tries to throw they throw a smoke into Pickle first to just slow down anyone who might be coming through or gray screen them. They might try to charge it, etc. So Rops throws a flash. However, this flash is far too deep. It would have been a lot more serviceable if he just banked it off of this wall, or if he did like a running, jumping underhand throw. And then Alexibi and Hampus would have been blind as they came through, and they would have been able to get this boost off likely with a lot more success. Now, because typically when a player gets into water, if they're able to cross and so on, this is going to be the safest spot. So they're going to throw a little bit of retake utility here, or at least just utility to flush out the Crim's position here with a nade and then a Molotov and so on. But it is possible, if you boost right here, you can have your top player just jump and he'll see the guy's head if he's sitting on the Crim's rail. And with the A1S jumping accuracy being better, it might be something to consider to get that frag. And it's pretty non-committal. I don't think people typically aren't going to be sitting up here to watch for something like that, and they wouldn't be able to see it from down here, which is relatively safe. So it's something that could be tried. However, by using the Molotov, they do manage to get a smoke out, so not too bad. Now, I do want to highlight one more thing in this round, which is Rain's utility here. He, in the mid-round here, 1 minute left or so, he's going to throw this Molotov to clear out the front bathrooms area, work his way up, and then he's going to throw this divider one way, where he's going to be able to see Party when he peeks on the side of the smoke, and he's pretty much completely invisible. And so he just covers this while Brokey falls back to hard watch along. So to rewind, I wanted to look at a few T-side things that I saw. So this round I really liked out of NIP because they were able to use a small amount of util and gain a lot of ground, and then come back into a B hit here. So to start off with, Hampus Molotov's Alexibi's short, and then Alexibi's just going to lurk towards here. Now to start, he's going to go for this spam, which it doesn't show properly on Skybox, but I wanted to highlight how in a second he's going to hop up on this barrel, and this position is really strong as the standard over monster flashes are actually going to get blocked by this bridge over here. However, if he was standing on the ground, it's not going to get blocked at all, and he's going to get full flashed. So this is a spot you might want to consider. I think it's also fine against what's it called, even if there is no smoke, as you'll likely see their feet. If they were going to walk push monster when there's no smoke, you'll likely see their feet first before they see yours, because it's a really weird angle you're at. They're going to be looking to the bottom left here of Alexibi. Now to rewind and show what's going on over towards A. They're just going to throw basic stuff. Berlin's going to smoke off the Molotov, get into playground. Rez is going to throw the party Molotov to force anyone off of that angle. And let me show that here. And then they're just going to flash deep over long and take control of that with their 3. So now that they don't see anything long, there's been no response. Brolan is going to fall back off and watch towards their mid and party, just make sure that no one aggroes up. Hampus is going to walk close to the lockers here and get flashed in by Rez. Clears this out, and now Rez is going to leave him to just solo lurk here, and they're going to group back up towards B. Now to highlight Esatag here real quick, he's been playing this crack angle and just, he's got an eye on Khan here. What's cool about this, what I like about this here, is that he, playing this crack angle, which he goes back to, puts him in position for a really fast rotate rather than working up and clearing Khan and then being slow towards
the B hit. So I think in this round, Alexi B probably called that he wanted to default and then go back and hit B in the mid to late round. So Alexi B, oh, sorry. Esatag comes back up the ladder, and what he did right there, it's a bit harder to tell on Skybox, but he hit W and D and just hit them repeatedly rather than holding them down. You can go up ladders fast this way without making any noise. And you can also do it down, but the buttons will be, the angle you'll need to look at and the buttons you press are a bit different. But then they're going to set up. Rez is going to be flashing them out here. They're going to go for a monster pop after phasing the monster smoke here. And Rez is going to throw a wood wall flash and then a pillar flash for them. And just going to explode out. Now they get the frag on Kerrigan, and Alexi B goes for he Molotovs off short, then he smokes off lower CT, and Brolan at the same time is going to Molotov the backside of it and just cut off any of those rotates here. He pushes up into the Heaven guy, unfortunately for him, but they get a smoke down on the site here, and they go for a left side pillar plant. So in round 6, we have NIP who's going to go for a water retake, and Hampus is going to Molotov short. He's going to drop his flashes, and then I want to show how he smokes this Molotov here. He throws it in the center, so Rops here who gets close, anyone who's on the close left and whatnot, they have no gaps to abuse or one way or anything like that. Just kind of makes sure of that. Now he and Esatag are going to group up towards this smoke. Hampus is going to, I just want to rewind here and show how this is done here. So Hampus is going to go out to the right, and then Esatag is going to lurk out to the left. Hampus is running out here, right, making noise. So anyone who's not blind will hear him just stomping around and will be distracted with him most likely. Esatag just lurks through, walking, and finds the pick on Rops there by phasing the smoke. And so now I'll just I'll rewind and show Alexi B. He just throws a jank flash here, right? It's just over the top like that, and that's good enough in pretty much in most cases. Now I just want to show, so Hampus, he's going to path out like this on his POV. He's going to clear the close right, then up short, and then he'd be able to trade on anyone who is close to the smoke. And then Esatag here, as I said, he just walks through, phases the smoke, and gets gets a good frag on Robs here. Round 9, we're going to skip ahead to the mid to late round where NIP is going to set up for an A exec here, and I'll give an overview. So they're going to throw pretty much the full set. They're going to smoke off bank and jump up, Molotov dice and truck, throw flashes over, etc. Now, one cool thing about this is that they throw their initial flashes, push people off and so on, and then they have the flashes to flash again as they go in here. So Alexi B is going to throw a flash off of this wall to land dice, and then Rez is going to throw a jank flash over the right. And these flashes, note that the Molotovs are clearing at this point, so Brolan is able to take up the truck side and so on. These flashes push Rops back, who is waiting to come through the smoke and help Roki, and Roki just gets isolated in the site and everything gets hard locked down. So, really cool. But now to look at some POVs and note some of the details of this hit. Alexi B, he's going to smoke bank. I'll show the lineup later. And then he's going to do this jump spot here, which, sorry, my cursor's bugged. He gets this info on if there's anyone there poked out, etc. Then he's going to Molotov for dice and burn a flash over, clear out, etc. Then Brolan and him are going to get flashed in again. Rewinding, Brolan's going to be clearing out the bathrooms area, and he just goes for a bunch of jump jiggles. Jump jiggles that. Then he clears the boost, as you'll see, and clears out this close angle. The flash goes off. He goes up, etc. You have Rez, who's going to be posted on sands as they work up. And then when they go for the hit, he's going to post on the left side of dice, which is where if any opper was getting super gutsy, he'd swing out. And this late in the round too, I think it's pretty unlikely for anyone to be jump spotting. They're likely going to be posted or ready to use their utility, so you don't need to worry about anyone seeing you from dice. And even then, if they did, the hit's going to be coming in, so then he can throw a flash in, and Esatag watches their flank this whole time. Hampus, meanwhile, from long, does the jump, clears out this area, and then he's going to smoke off their jump up and Molotovs for truck with this kind of jank lineup. Again, I'll show it later. And flashes over front bathroom for them to come out as well. Then he just works up and holds this and swings up with the flash rather that holds this area. And then the last thing of note is that they already have an op, but they make sure to, let me see if I can find this. Okay, Broland does it. They make sure to, when they see the op, they throw it down to the opposite side of the bomb. And so they don't need to throw it all the way forward as they kind of do, end up doing. But when you get it on the other side of the bomb, it makes sure that there's no way it goes down into jump up, and just there's absolutely no way the CTs recover it. So tiny detail, but I wanted to point that out. Alright, so now for util and miscellaneous bits. I'm going to start off towards B and show this spot that Alexibi was playing here, right? It's safe from the most common monster flash. I believe people throw it from right about here. Oopsie daisies. It's more so like this. And you'll notice this pops, like you can see right here, blinds you, right? But if you're up here, it's not gonna pop on you. So that's also really good to consider. Even if they've been smoking off monster every round, it just puts you at a good position. If they were to try to flush through monster, you'll be able to react, get an easy frag. Only thing is, I'll mention, it's kind of hard to see through your fire through this chain link fence, even though I think it does decent damage. Yeah, the damage is great, but it is a little bit hard to see, so you might want to peek out after a flash comes through if you were to do that. Now for Rez's flash here going into B, he came up to this line, and then you see this little ledge thing. You come down to this bit, left click throw, and the flash is going to pop right over the wood wall. And what's great about this flash is that people will typically play roughly around halfway here if they're playing wood wall, right? They're not going to be like this close, so they'll get caught by that flash. And interestingly, for anyone who's playing close monster, so if I stop right about here and I rethrow the flash, I'm not really getting hit, right? But if I look a bit to the side, it's gonna full blind me. So if a person was for some reason a bit lazy with their mouse, they weren't holding it tight, you can also get a full blind on them there. And of course, it's gonna blind anyone who's in this general area looking. Don't think it gets anyone who's... No, it would get someone who's jump spotting this like this, I think. So yeah, pretty great flash, actually. And then after that, I think he threw a pillar flash, which was like right about here from his position. Oop. Just aim, I guess, center of that and run forward and throw. From this position specifically. Now then, over towards A, there was some, I guess it was the party Molotov into the right of that rock there. that's going to spread a bit more consistently and get people out of that close position. Now moving forward just to the executil. Most of this is pretty standard stuff, but I feel it's good to just review real quick. Bank smoke, line up with this line here, and then you're going to look for this triangle shape with these 3 dots, and I'll zoom in here. On this one, you're going to jump through, and it's going to land like so. There's going to be no gaps at all. I jump up on the thing, can't see. And then dice Molotov, you just aim to the right of this horizontal line, hit the jump throw. Easy. What Hampus threw over at long for that A exec, he came up to the middle of this thing, aimed top of this white bit, jump throw, and then he aimed roughly, it's kind of jank, you can find whatever lineup works for you. But just in the general direction of this building, whether higher or lower, walk or run, figure out whatever you want to do. And then he threw this flash over bathrooms, and he moved a bit. And I didn't notice this before in the demo, but when he throws this flash, it should blind anyone who's playing like this trash can angle, right? Or anyone who's like playing up a little bit closer on this wall. So when he threw it, Alexi B threw his Molotov, then he starts playing anti, clears this, and the flash comes in, he's anti to it, and by the time he's swinging out, anyone who's playing these would be blind. So that's actually a really cool detail I missed there. Aside from that, I don't recall any other T-side tidbits I wanted to go over. So, to wrap it up with CT utility, I'm going to start with this Molotov that FaZe was throwing. You want to aim bit, like from the side of this thing, out a bit, up roughly around here. I kind of use my crosshair, kind of just mostly feeling though. Then you run, walk once you're out, throw that. And this Molotov is going to land pretty deep in pickle. And sometimes it lands to where it doesn't even really spread out into this spot. So when you throw that, and the T goes to smoke it, there's the chance if they try to catch the edge of it so that they have more room to maneuver, the smoke might actually completely beef. And if they smoke it on the Molotov directly, well, then the smoke is going to land like this, and they have no cover to come out. So their flashes need to be really good, or they just kind of get poopied on here. They can't even like play this area and potentially have multiple in there, right? Gets really tough. Okay, so for the twists nade, I've actually got 2 of them here. The one he threw, I believe, is he backs up onto this, and then there's this gap between the splotches on the board here. Aims here, runs forward, and jump throws it. And that's gonna land on the stairs, dealing pretty decent damage, right, to anyone there. Alternatively, I also have this lineup where you aim where the board and the shadow meet the light, kind of, right at this point. Walk forward and jump throw it. And that one's going to land closer, so let's say anyone is going into pickle here, or they're maybe setting up like a res flash or something. Like you have a timing, let's say they're going for a monster pop or something along those lines, right? That would be a pretty decent timing to throw a flash like that, because not only is this where some people throw the res flashes, this is also around the area a lot of people might throw like a barrel Molotov or something along those lines. So yeah. And then over at the A side, I wanted to show there was this. So if you aim about here, below this dot, I believe that's how he aimed it. This is the one way you're gonna have, and I'm gonna spawn in a bot here. It's gonna be a CT bot. Basically impossible to see. And if we just swap here, I can see him. So that is pretty good. And additionally, there was a round where they threw some util to clear Hampus out of this spot, this spot at Crims, right? Actually, I'll switch to CT for this one. So Hampus is over here, or this general area, right? You can actually just put a bot around this area, or sorry, you can get a player around this area, and if you have an A1S or let's say an MP9 or something along those lines, you can go for this. And well, that was a sorry display, but because it has better jumping accuracy than the A4, this could be a play that you just, like a little Hail Mary play that you can go for. And then after that, you can just spam like down here real quick or something along those lines, and that would catch anyone who's in that tight corner, all that kind of jazz. But with an MP9, for example, it should be a bit more consistent, so. But yeah, so that'll do it for this video. Thank you for watching. Take it easy.